Today, I'm going to show you how to get these luscious, nutrition-packed microgreens in just 2 weeks.
Now, take a step outside and seize the day now.
All right, so today we're going to go over how exactly to make a great set of microgreens, and today I am discussing a spicy salad mix. So here I have a tub of cocoa coir, and it just comes in a, you can get it in a brick. You put water in, and then it expands multiple times its volume. So it's a nice way that you can get it relatively cheap in the mail. You want to soak it, and you don't want it to be like you basically want it to take as much water as it can, but you don't want it to get like, for example, if you squeeze it, you certainly don't want a lot of water to come out. If you can get a drop of water out or two, then that's a good spot for where you want to be. And so very simply, you just want to fill your tray with it. I use cocoa coir. So this part is also pretty important to getting a successful microgreen consistent harvest, where you don't get big spots of where you don't have a great section here and a bad section here, and that is, you want to level it off. The easiest way to level it off is to press it down, compress it, and when you compress it, I just went to went to Home Depot, got a piece of wood. They cut it out for you for free, and then I just used a piece of just like scrap, put it on. So this is basically cost nothing, but now I have a press, and I made this just 10-20, and now when I just press, let me lift it up here so you can see, I just press down on it, and it compresses. And so what this helps do is it helps flatten it out. And then you can also see if you need some extra soil. The beautiful thing with these salad mixes is they contain multiple microgreens in one batch, and they just come in. It comes in one bag, and I'll show you a close-up of these seeds. But you'll see that there's many different colors. There's many different colors in these seeds, and that's because the different colors are different seeds. So the spicy salad mix has, it's 6 of them. It's broccoli, kale, kohlrabi, arugula, red acre cabbage, and southern giant mustard. You can use it for sandwiches. I love to eat it with salad, and of course it goes great with all the dressing. So there's it's a lot of versatility. Now this one, I get it from it's the Mountain Valley Seed Company, which I've included. There's a link in the description if you would also like to get seeds from them. They've got great customer service, and what I like is they have, it's free shipping if it's over like $45 or something, your total order. So that can help save you a lot of money. And it also, they have a lot of different options as far as you can. They sell them in small packs, but you can also get them in large packs too. So for example, this is a 1 pound bag, and you use a little bit over an ounce for each tray. So this, a 1 pound bag would keep you going for, probably like 12 or 13 trays, which, obviously will last you for a while. And the seeds last, for a long time in the bags. And that's, a main benefit of some of these ones that you don't have to pre-soak, because many seeds, the larger ones, you do have to pre-soak, but on the smaller seeds you generally don't have to pre-soak them, and that makes this process much easier, because you just spread them around, and when they're dry they're a lot easier to move. You don't want to have a clump of them together, because then some of them won't end up germinating typically. You'd also increase the chance of mold, and so just do your best to just spread them out. Alright, so now that we've put the seeds into the tray, the final The next step here is we just tamp it down. And we're just making sure that the seed has full contact with the soil. That helps it germinate. All right, so now these seeds are in and they're ready to go. There's a process called sanitizing the seeds, and this is really important. It helps prevent some different types of fungus and molds that can wreak havoc on your microgreens. And so it's a mixture that's easy to make with simple supplies you probably have at home. It's primarily water and then a little bit of hydrogen peroxide and white vinegar. So it's 20 milliliters white vinegar, 20 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide to 1 liter of water. So you just spray it on, and you just want to give it a nice good spray, because I'm using a inert coconut core, and it's basically a waste product from a coconut. And so the advantage of that is that it's an inert material. So you don't want your soil to be garden soil. Usually it's too coarse and has too many like forest products and things like that. And also, you don't want to use compost or like worm castings or any of that type of stuff. Firstly, it's not, the nutrients aren't necessary. These seeds have all they need to grow and become amazing microgreens. And once they're 3 or 4 inches, once they're 4 inches tall, then we cut them and eat them. So, the seed has plenty of nutrients to make that happen. Secondly, the bacteria and stuff that make compost happen can actually create, fungus issues too. So it's expensive and unnecessary and can be problematic. So you want to use the most inert material you can. You can have, fine grained soil is okay. Also, there's other, a seed starter mix is basically the same, combinations of like peat and perlite and that type of stuff will work. Or you can use something like coconut coir, which comes in these compressed bricks, and then you just put it in water and it expands greatly. Now that we have put the sanitizer, on them, they are, going to have a less likelihood of developing, mold and those type of issues, and we're ready to basically let it germinate. So I had a couple of other microgreens that I did, and I'll post a video to that. This is beets and beets and Swiss chard, and we just put them on top, and that'll help save space. It also creates darkness, and you can just put, just store them in any, preferably a temperate, dry place, dark. So I put them in a corner of a room. You could put them in your garage. I mean, the idea is you just don't want it to be super hot or super cold or super damp. And then basically we'll check in here in a couple days and show you the next step. Please, in the comments, ask any questions you have about microgreens, because that's the easiest way for me to know what you're interested or what you're curious about, and that also provides me the opportunity to answer those questions in the comments below. All right, so it's been 2 days, and I wanted to show you what the update is. So, I mean, they weren't outside, but I just brought them out here so you can, so there's more light so you can see. This is just how they were sitting, so one on top of the other. All right, so the first thing you can see is we have great germination. We have little spicy salad microgreens popping up all over the place. And I also want to highlight that they were pushing up all that weight, and they're still growing up. And so now what we'll do is we will go to a blackout, where we'll just put one on top of it, and that will further help it grow. But there's a couple other things that I wanted to show. It's hard to zoom in a little bit, but those little white hairs, those are called root hairs, and it is part of the growing process. And what happens when each little seed for many microgreens, when it opens up and it's searching for nutrients. And so that's something that is very normal. and I'll show when you spritz a little bit of water on top of it, that goes away. All right, so the nice thing with the self-watering is all you have to do is you just lift up the top tray, and you can see there's the holes, and actually, in fact, you can see there's a few, well, there's many roots that are actually already starting to grow. And so, being that I'm out here, just spray for a few seconds, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lower it down, and as you just put it in softly, the water will distribute itself. These were, they weren't covered, it's already turning green. And that's what happens. The sprouts will come up and they typically won't get green. You know, they'll come out in yellow or in other colors, and then once they actually see the light, then they will start to turn green. Here they are under the lights, and you want them under the lights about 8 to 12 hours a day, but you also want to make sure they get at least 8 hours in the dark. Alright, so now we have gone through 5 days, and as you can see, this is very great, you know, nice full germination all the way across. Looking very nice, very green. You can see it's nice and even. It's basically about 2 inches tall. So this will grow to be about 3 to 4 inches. And now I did bottom water this on day 3. So you can see there, it's no water. And just to take a look as an idea for the weight, remember when it was just moist soil before planting, it was around 6 pounds, I think it was. Now there's about 5.5. So it has absorbed a lot of water through the microgreens because we've gained all these microgreens and still have, you know, it's a ½ pound less than it was before. Alright, so we're at day 7 here with the spicy salad mix. Still excellent germination, excellent height. These are right about 3 inches. To show you also, you can see here a little bit of moisture, and you'll see that the greens will, you know, have some moisture go from the soil up through the leaves, and you want there to be, I mean, a little bit of moisture so it's not dry, but if it gets too bad, then you start to see the mold. So I mean, that's why it's important to not overwater as well. All right, so now we're back for harvest day. It's actually been 17 days since I first, you know, since we started here planting the seeds. So these could have been harvested at like the 12 or 13 day mark. Definitely 2 weeks was plenty of time, but I was just busy over the last few days, so I didn't have a chance to harvest them. But that is something to know, that if you go a few days extra, as long as you keep them watered, they'll be fine. And so that's one of the reasons why when I show harvesting them, I'm actually going to cut just a piece at this particular moment, and then, you know, basically over the next 3 days, maybe cut a third, just because it's easier for them to just continue to stay planted as opposed to storing them. Now you can easily store them in the fridge just like you would other leafy greens, so that's not a concern, but you know, this is not an inconvenience for me to let them just stay like this, so I'm just going to intend to do that. I wanted to show a couple of things just about the height of the microgreens. So as expected, the microgreens can get up to, you know, about, this is right 4 inches here. So you'll see this is very much at the expected height. It is a little bit higher in the middle, and that's just because there's the light was sitting over the middle. It has, you know, the most direct light straight directly down, and so you'll see them come up. Of course, the more powerful lights you have and the more lights you have, the less that you know, will be an issue. So cutting them is a very simple process. You can use you know, any kitchen knife. Some people have, you know, you could also use kitchen shears if you like. Most of them are relatively delicate, so you don't want to be too rough with them. And then if you simply slice, then they just come off, and you can see just how pretty they are. And you'll also see that there are different colored stems. You'll see there's a purple one in there, some other purple ones, and that's because, you know, with this being a mix, we know that it's more than one type of microgreens. It's in fact 6. And if you do get little pieces of your soil material or your coco coir, you can simply rinse it off just like the seeds. Some of the microgreens will have seeds that as the holes of the seeds come up, they're still attached, and you can just pull them off. But they also come out really easily in the water. But that's the main reason why, in the case where we soak some of them, that's the main purpose for it. So when you're cutting, the important thing is just try and get as low as you can, so you don't have you know, so you don't waste, because again, while they're 4 inches, they're only 4 inches, so you don't want to leave an inch at the bottom. And so you just get as close as you can. It's one of my favorite things about these shallow trays is that since they're only about 1 inch deep, you don't have I mean, certainly you could use the same amount of soil. Let's say if you have a 2-inch tray and you want to use 1 inch of core or soil material to grow your microgreens, that's certainly possible, but it's difficult to maneuver your way to get down to where they are if you have to, you know, if you have 1 inch of air here. So with these more narrow trays, or of course if you're using a similar setup where it's basically relatively shallow, then it's easy to do. You know, you could do this, you know, inside or outside. I'm just doing it outside so I can just leave the pieces on the grass. You can see here, nice and beautiful, all green and some purples. Let me show you the stems here, all these different stem colors of you know, whites and yellows and purples. Right here is I mean, as you can see, is a decent sized bowl, easily enough for a salad for you know, 2 or 3 people, 4 people, and we've only used about maybe 40% of the tray. So that's something that these will really, you know, these will last you for at least a few days, and of course, it tastes, they really taste excellent. When I am done with this, I will, you know, dispose of this. It's you can't get multiple cuts out of microgreens. You're trying to reuse it is usually unadvisable. You can either, you know, throw it out into your backyard, and insects and other small animals will have no problem eating this, or you can put it into your compost pile. It's great for compost, or as a final alternative, you can easily throw it into your yard waste recycle bin, and you know, along with your grass clippings or leaves or other things. So if you are considering getting into microgreens and trying to grow some on your own, this video is going to be the start of a nice long series of multiple different microgreens where we just go one by one and show you step by step how to grow them and what they look like and things to watch out for. I wanted to start with this spicy salad mix because, you know, this is, every time I've created this one, it's been beautiful. Alright, well, if this video did pique your interest at all about growing microgreens, please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell so you'll be informed when our new content is released. I look forward to seeing you again next time, and be well.